Hello and welcome to this new episode of Open Book Entrepreneur. Today we have Mike here with us again, and Mike is a wonderful coach. So, Mike, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hey everyone, my name is Mike Mall. I'm a nomadic entrepreneur. We were just talking with Tony before about, he's like, oh, you were in Vietnam the last time we talked. Where are you now? In Mexico. So my wife and I travel full time. I've been running my business online for the last 14 years. And I've got a few different projects that I work on. I've got a few marketing companies that are more, established, stable, some consulting stuff. But my big focus is that I love helping people who are stuck where I was in my third, fourth, and fifth year of business, just break through that as quickly as possible because that's that point of building your company where a lot of people give up. And so I unlike what I did, which was just, tough through it and be stubborn and be like, I can figure this out on my own. And like it took me a lot longer to succeed and have the growth that I wanted because I didn't listen to anybody. And so I'm trying to fix that for those who are willing to have it fixed for them.
Yeah, I mean that's really important subject. I actually struggled personally a lot through this. That I wanted to actually work everything out myself, and it was a really long journey until I started hiring coaches and really having that. Faster improvements. So, can you tell us a little bit more about why do you believe it's important to hire a coach in this kind of situations?
Yeah, I think, when you start your own business, you come from one of a few different places, right? You come from college, which you don't learn most of the skills that you need to run the business, or you come from another job, right? So I worked in this company and then I decided I'm going to go out on my own. But the truth is, you don't see everything that goes on behind the scenes, right? The lead gen, the accounting, the payroll, all the expenses, all the complications. Like it's not easy. And what I did is I was very stubborn. I had come out of a corporate job, I was very depressed in, and I was like, broke free, started this software company. We were going to take over the world, and like we lost like six figures of money like within a year and had to fold it, right? So then I started, selling advertising for this company while I was trying to run the software company, turned that into a marketing agency, and I almost went bankrupt with that twice because I didn't know who to bring on when. I didn't know how to structure an offer so it didn't like burn every moment of every day. I mean, I was working 14, 18 hours sometimes trying to fulfill stuff that we had promised people that like we didn't need to promise them. They would have said yes without giving them these million extra things. But at the time, I just thought, well, my competitors are up here and this is their price. So if I'm going to be anywhere close to them, I got to deliver double what they do. And you know, what I learned through, I had to fire my whole team at one point. I had six full-time people and I had not like no money left in the bank. And it happened to me twice because I was stubborn and because I didn't quite understand the pattern of how to structure the offer, how to build your pricing around growing an actual company rather than just paying yourself as a, freelancer or a solopreneur. And so I just, I learned in such a hard way. And like one of the worst days of my life was when I had to fire six people. Like I hated it more than anything. Like that conversation sat in my throat for 5 days, like watching my bank account go down, being like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to actually do this. Um, and yeah, just like it's a lot of it is avoidable. A lot of it doesn't need to happen, but you need the knowledge and you need the mindset and you need the structure to make sure you don't put yourself in the position. And so I'm just very passionate because, I came from a place where I was very depressed working in a corporate job and I, had basically a nervous breakdown and quit on the spot. Like I was in such a bad headspace. And when I realized like, oh, I can create this offer and people will pay for it and I can make a living like being creative and making things, seeing that moment and like realizing, oh, that's attainable. And if it's, attainable for a guy like me, anybody can do it. Like there's nothing special about me or my journey. I didn't do well in school. I was out of college within one semester. I just started working because that's what you do when you don't have any money and you're 17, right? And so I think when I saw the light and I saw like you can actually create a future in any way you want if you structure it, I was like, yeah, I want to help people not lose sight of and not burn out of trying to achieve that.
Wonderful. And then also when it comes to your coaching business, what type of problems or challenges are people facing before they start working with you?
So most people that are in my bucket are, between ten and $20,000 a month. And listen, that's great money for most people in most places in the world. But it's actually one of the most dangerous places to be. I think like under 10,000 is actually this like, we're just like going at it full speed, we just gotta go. When you get to 10,000, you're like, okay, I've got this base. I can maybe start to bring some people onto the team. I can pay a little bit more for my tech subscriptions. My Claude's $200 a month now because it can do all this stuff for me. And that's great, but there's a trap there. And so between 10 and 20, like you don't have a structured enough business to like bring on a team and like really outsource and delegate the right way. So you're kind of still, the main focus point of delivery of work. And so what happens is you do some marketing, you get some clients, but you're so exhausted fulfilling the work for those clients because you probably haven't built good processes yet. You probably haven't built automations. You probably haven't brought on somebody that is capable of helping you. And you might have brought on great talent, but if you don't have the right infrastructure for a team member to come into, they're going to fail. And it's actually your fault. And so there's a cycle of, you get a bunch of work, there's a whole bunch of hours that go into it. You get super tired, super stressed, super burned out. Finally you finish the client, and then you're like, well, we haven't done marketing in 4 months. Like I've just been in fulfillment mode, right? And so then you're like, well, where's the next dollar coming from? And there's a 2, 3 month ramp up period for that, which makes you stressed out because you don't have new money coming in. And so it's this dangerous trap where like it feels good that you're making that money, but the swings when you're making that money of like revenue and opportunity and like stress and just like how it wears on your body is exhausting. And a lot of people burn out at that point and end up going back to work in the job that they left in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what's the transformation that you provide with your coaching?
So I if you look at my profile online, it's going to tell you offers, sales and offers, but fundamentally there's a few components that need to work simultaneously. So you need to raise your price. That's the number one thing. And most people worry that when they raise their price, more people are going to say no. So if my price goes up, my sales conversion goes down. And that would be true if you were at the peak of your pricing that people were willing to pay, but you're not, right? If you're thinking about that, you're not at that level yet. You could probably 1.5x, maybe double your price, and then worry about, okay, now if I raise it even more, people will start saying no. People are horribly underpriced because they price based on their emotional connection to themselves, their self-worth. They look at their competitors and they look at these big companies and they say, well, I'm not that, so I have to be down here. They drag themselves down. And with pricing, you need to be psychologically on board with the price increase. So what does that mean? It means like you have to believe that your service is worth more than you're charging, like really believe it. Because if your subconscious agrees with you, that will come through in your presentations, in your pitch, and allow you to raise your price, right? So that pricing unlock comes with a few different things that need to happen along the way. But once you successfully raise your price, then the second thing you need to do is you need to reduce workload. So your offer needs to make a promise and fulfill that promise in as little time, energy, and money as possible. And what people tend to do, again, because of the psychological, well, like, I need to be, with AI coming out, with my competitors, I have to offer these 50 things to make my offer attractive. I got to stack a ton of things in here. And when you're trying to sell to a sophisticated buyer, to a business to business service, which is the people that I work with, like the person you're selling to doesn't care about the 50 checklist items. That person cares if you get them to the promise point. If you say, I'm going to double your leads, if you say, I'm going to produce 100 graphics a week, whatever the thing you're promising is, like you have to fulfill that. But you are holding yourself back by thinking you need to do more and more and more and more things to do that. And when the truth is, good buyers, good clients, people who you can grow with, those are the people where they're like, if you can do this in half of the amount of time and I don't have to be involved, and like they don't care what it takes. And so what I see in like this way that shows up is like in someone's proposal, they've got 2 pages of delivery items. You know, my clients have a 1 page proposal. And these are proposals that are like anywhere from like five to $30,000 proposals. They're on 1 page because the client needs to understand that you guys are moving in the same direction. They have to believe that you can get them there, and they have to know that there's a process, whether it's a 3 or a 4 step process. They don't need to know what's in the process. In fact, they don't care unless you make it a big deal. So what happens when you make that shift is like your amount of things that you deliver and the time it takes to deliver the offer, I try and get it down by like 30 to 50%. So imagine your price goes up by 30 to 50% and your workload goes down by 30 to 50%. Now you're talking about a business that you can lean into, right? Now you've got more time, more energy. You can, bring people in. You can use technology. I'm all for bringing in a hybrid of like AI and people onto the team, but like you should not be doing the things that you suck at. You should be in your zone of genius. But if your price sucks and your offer takes too much time to deliver, you're never going to be able to either build the system or bring the person on board. So those are the 2 main things that we focus on.
I mean, thanks so much for sharing this. I will have to go and watch this again because this is such a valuable information. Thank you so much, Mike. So, if people want to actually get in touch with you, connect to you, learn more about you, how they can do that?
Yeah, you can find me anywhere online at Mike Moll, Mikemoll. My website houses everything. So my podcast, the newsletter, free resources. I've got a lot of great training on there. But if you're interested in exploring, your offer and that, you can find that all on mikemoll.co.co.
Great. Mike, also just one final question before we go. So if people are running their businesses and they're going through this roller coaster that you were actually describing, what's one piece of advice you can give them?
Great question. I think the number one thing, like that aha moment that my clients have, is a very simple exercise. And what they do is what you do now, what you do today is you say, okay, I have this Google Ads offer and I'm going to, do the keyword research. I'm going to optimize the keywords. I'm going to add the negative keywords. Let's set a weekly report. I'm going to do this and this and this and this. And we assign a value at the task level. And that's the number one problem, because often what that does is that goes back to like, what am I worth per hour? And like, how do you assign value to yourself by the hour, right? So that is a huge trap that a lot of people get stuck in. And so what I want you to do is I want you to think about the before and after of a customer working with you, right? Someone who has, gone through 3 agencies already, burned $15,000 in marketing that got them nowhere, right? Now this person is worried, they're stressed, they've wasted $15,000 on these agencies that weren't good at what they do. They don't know where their next lead's coming from because Google Ads was the thing that was providing them with the thing. So your value is not your $30 an hour, $50 an hour, $100 an hour task. Your value is giving them the peace of mind of consistency in lead flow. It's them knowing that like that is off their plate and they have a reliable person that communicates with them. Like that peace of mind is worth money. Not just the marketing result, like that is also worth money. So it's like, how are you impacting them, time wise, money wise, and like energy, focus, mentality wise, like those 3 buckets, and assign values to those things. And what you'll find is like if someone's in this before situation and you created the after situation where like, okay, maybe you increase their revenue by $10,000 a month and maybe they don't have to worry about it. So their peace of mind is worth whatever it is, right? Maybe you save them a bunch of time because now you're doing a bunch of stuff that they were trying to do by themselves, or even just looking for a vendor, right? So now you that assignment of time is worth money. So stack those things together, and what you'll find is that that value that you actually create for the person is worth more than you're charging by a lot. And that's that first moment where you're like, holy crap, like I'm creating like tens of thousands of dollars in value for this person. Why am I charging $500? Like it's the exchange isn't right, right? Like if I'm creating tens of thousands of dollars, like why can't I charge 5,000? Why can't I charge 10,000? And as soon as your mind sees it and starts to shift into that belief, that's when you're going to be able to like start moving forward, whether you work with me or you just read a book on how to raise your price. It doesn't matter, but that first mindset thing where you really realize like I'm undervalued here, that's the unlock. That's what will give you that permission to start doing more.
And again, phenomenal. Thank you, Mike, for being a guest today. Thank you all for watching, listening to this phenomenal episode. And yeah, if you liked it, drop us a like, subscribe. If you have any questions for Mike or me, you can ask them in the comments. We'll be more than happy to answer those. And yeah, see you all in the next episode. Mike, thank you.